This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have seen about Maven tool. It's mainly used to build projects, and the main use of going with Maven tool is to add the project dependencies into the project. And we have introduced about Hibernate. Hibernate is ORM framework, right? Is this Hibernate? Hibernate is an ORM framework. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. ORM stands for what? Object Relational Mapping. Now already we have seen what is this ORM. So what we do, we take a POJO class like a JavaBean class. Once we create object of POJO class, that object we want to persist, means insert into the database table. Playing with objects only, ORM frameworks. Now what is this Hibernate is? Hibernate is an ORM solution for Java, and it raised it as an open source persistent framework. Persistent means making the data permanently. Persistent framework created by Gavin King. Now, what we do in this Hibernate is Hibernate maps Java classes. You can even see POJO classes to database tables. What we do in Hibernate, we go with the POJO class and we are going to map our class with the database table, and Java classes properties with the table columns. So what we are going to do, we are going to map our class with the database table and Java class properties with the table columns using Hibernate XML mapping file. Using what? Hibernate XML mapping file. So here we have to create one mapping file, like example emp.hbm.xml. HBM stands for Hibernate mapping.xml. So any name, this name can be anything. So in this file, we map our class with the database table. We map our class properties with the table columns. Hibernate sits between the Java objects and database. Here we create Java object and we give this object to Hibernate. Hibernate will persist this object into the database. We can even take the record from database table and give it back to Java object. Both the directions are passed. This point is important. Provides simple APIs for storing and retrieving data. Provides simple APIs for storing and retrieving Java objects directly to and from the database. Here we play with methods. Everything we play with methods, and the APIs are like persist, or we can even go with save. The save method is deprecated from Java, deprecated in Hibernate 6 version. We are going to make use of the latest version of Hibernate, that is 6 here. Hibernate 6 version. In Hibernate 6 version, save method is deprecated. We can go with the merge. What is the use of this persist method? Insert command. This is our insert command. We can go with merge or update. Update method is deprecated in Hibernate 6 version. It's deprecated. So merge or update is for update command. Next, we are having remove method or delete. So this delete method is deprecated in Hibernate 6 version. So this remove or delete method is for delete command. Next, we are having get or list. This is your select command. Right? So here we play with the methods here. Now, in Hibernate, this point is important. In Hibernate, we create Hibernate XML configuration file. In Hibernate, what we have to create? Hibernate XML configuration file in which we configure the database connection properties. In database connection properties, like driver class. So in order to get the database connection, what data we require? The driver class, URL, username, and password. Using these properties, we can get the connection to the respective database. And in this XML file, even refers to Hibernate XML mapping file. So here we create one file, like example hibernate.cfg.xml. In this XML file, configuration XML file, we provide the database connection properties, and in this file, even we refer to the mapping files what we are using in our application. So only one time creation. This file should be created only one time in the complete project. So only one database connection can be used in all other programs. If there is a change in database, then the only need to change is XML file properties. So for example, initially we have connected to MySQL database. In future, you want to change it to Oracle. Then what we should do? Just to go to this configuration file and change the database connection properties. I need not touch our Java code because these methods are common for any database. That is the reason we say ORM or Hibernate is database independent. It is what here? Database independent. Clear these points, all of you? Now, let us develop the complete application today. Let us go with the application. Developing a Hibernate application in Eclipse using Maven. Developing a Hibernate application in Eclipse using Maven. So first step, let us create a Maven project. Open Eclipse. How to create project? So I've taken the workspace Hibernate here. We have taken the workspace Hibernate, a new workspace. Yesterday we have chosen the same thing. Then in this workspace, let us create a new Maven project. File new Maven project. Then now click over here. Click here. Create a simple project. Skip archetype selection. Then make a check mark here and say next. So here it won't ask you the archetype. A simple selection here. So here provide the group ID. We'll say Hibernate. Artifact ID means the project name. Hibernate project. Then just to provide these two values and click on finish button. That's it. So it's going to create the project to us. How to create? Click on file in the menu, new Maven project. Make check mark to create a simple project. Skip archetype selection. Click next. We have to provide the group ID. We are giving Hibernate. Artifact ID, the project name, Hibernate project. Click finish. Once we create the project, now here if you expand the project, what is the important file when we go with Maven tool? POJO.xml file. So in this POJO.xml file, we need to add the project dependencies. So where we should add? In between dependencies element. In between dependencies element we have to add. So we have to create the element dependencies. So what is our next step here? Add the following dependencies in pym.xml file of Hibernate project. So what dependencies we need to add here is we need to add Hibernate dependency and MySQL, as we are going to connect to MySQL database. If you are going to connect to other database, we need to add the respective dependencies. So here I want to go with Hibernate dependency. Just to say in search engine like Google, Hibernate dependency Maven. Go to this Maven repository. So go with the version. So go with any 6 version. Alpha means still it is in testing stage. So we have to go with any 6 version here. 6.5.2 final. Copy this piece of code and paste it here in pym.xml file. In between dependencies element, we have to paste here. Remove this tag. Then one more dependency what we need to add is here only in this MVN repository only can search here. MySQL connector Java search. Here go to this MySQL connector. Go with any 8 version. Copy this piece of code and paste it here. In between dependencies we have to paste. So this piece of code we have to add it in pym.xml file. Once we save this file, once we add these dependencies and save the file, see in Maven dependencies, how many jar files got added into the projects here? How many jar files got added? So if you are not having Maven, downloading these many jar files adding to the project is the complex part to the developers. So this is the place where we use Maven. Just to copy and paste work, we'll add the project dependencies into the project. That is the main use of going with Maven tool. Clear all of you the need of Maven tool? Right? And one more. As we are going to use Hibernate 6 version, when you create the Maven project, the version what it is going to choose here is 1.5. That is Java 5 version it is using. But for Hibernate 6, we require minimum Java 8 version. We require minimum what? Java 8 version. So we have to change the build path. How to change the build path? See, right click on JRE system library, build path, configure build path. Right click on JRE system library, build path, configure build path. Then select here under libraries tab, select JRE system library, edit. Now in execution environment, choose Java SE 1.8. What we have to choose here? Java SE 1.8 and say finish here. Then apply and close. That's it. It will change the version to what? 1.8. Right? So remember this. Change the JRE version to what here? Java SE 1.8. In build path under execution environment. Okay. So follow the recording on this. How to do is just follow the recording. Right. So this completes our setup. Clear? Any questions? let us start off with the application. Here in this one, we need to create a POJO class. So in order to create a POJO class, let us create a package com.hibernate in src main Java folder of Hibernate project. Create a POJO class. Let me go with your product, or let me anything product, any class, it's up to you. Product in com.hibernate package. Let us do this step now. Under src main Java, create a new package. Right click on src main Java, create a new package com.hibernate. Now right click on this package and say new class. I'm going with the class name product. Go with the properties. Private in product ID, private in product name, private double product price. Now generate setters and getter methods. Right click and say source, generate getters and setters, select all and say generate. That's it. The POJO class is ready now. Now, once the class is ready, now what I should do? I should take this class and persist into database table. I should create object of product class and persist into table. So which table you want to persist? So we have to map our class with the table. So that mapping process we need to do by using a XML file. Here we create Hibernate XML mapping file product.hbm.xml. I'm creating what here? Product.hbm.xml in src main resources folder of Hibernate project. Product.hbm.xml. Here under your project, you can see src main resources folder. Now right click on this src main resources and say new other, choose XML file. Then say next. Go with the name, any name, product dot extension should be hbm.xml. Click on the source tab. Now here we have to follow the templates. So for creating these XML files, we have to follow the templates. I'll be sharing the templates to you. Hibernate XML templates. Okay, I'll be sharing this file. If you open this file, you can find two templates. One is for mapping file and one more is for configuration file. Just what you do, you copy the code from this mapping file, copy this piece of code, come to Eclipse, and in this product.hbm.xml, remove this code and paste it here. The root tag of Hibernate XML mapping file is Hibernate mapping. Remember the root tags, they are important for intro tag. Now, in this, start doing the mapping part. What we have to map? Our class with the table, like this. Class name equal to com.hibernate.product. What is the name of the class? com.hibernate.product, and mapping to the table, you can say product. And nothing rule that the class name and table name should be same. I can even map with a table name like product info. I'm going with the table name product info. Okay. Now we have to map our class properties with the table columns like this. ID name equal to product ID referring to the column of table product ID. Referring to the column of table product ID. Then what is this ID element? So if you take this POJO class product, out of these three properties, which property can be unique? Product ID. So I cannot give same product ID to some other product. So if you go with employee, employee ID is unique. If you go with student, roll number is unique, like that. So once we give the number, we cannot give that same value to other products or other objects. So that we call it as primary key. This we call it as primary key. How to define a primary key? A primary key is unique and not null. A primary key is what? Is unique and not null, and use it to identify a row, means record uniquely. To identify a record uniquely, we make use of primary keys. Now we have to map with other properties. Property name equal to product name. Just see the column name, product PROD name. Product name referring to the column of table product name. One more property. Property name equal to product price. Product price referring to the column of table product price. And nothing rule that the property names and column names should be same. I want to change the column name here. So you'll say here product name, complete word product name here. Right? This completes our mapping file. Clear the mapping file, how to write? Compulsory you need to practice. The next important step is create Hibernate XML configuration file. I'm going with the name hibernate.cfg.xml in src main resources folder. Only one-time creation for the complete project. Hibernate.cfg.xml. CFG means configuration. Right click on src main resources and say new other XML file. We are going with the name hibernate.cfg.xml. Take the template of configuration file. The root tag is hibernate-configuration. Copy this and remove this piece of code and paste. Under this, we have to go with the sub element session factory. Under this session factory, we have to provide the database connection properties like this. Go with the property name equal to hibernate.connection.driver class. So what is the driver class to connect to MySQL? As we are going to connect to MySQL, we have to provide the driver class of MySQL, that is com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Next property name hibernate.connection.url. What is the URL? jdbc:/mysql:// localhost 3306/ database name Java 05. Property name. So what is the database name we have created? That only we have to use here. So in our case, Java 05. The next one, property name hibernate.connection.username. What is our username? Root. Next one, property name hibernate.connection.password, which is root. We are providing the database connection properties. Only one time we have to provide. so that I can use this connection properties in all the programs. Okay. We are having the next property name equal to Hibernate.dialect. Hibernate.dialect. So the dialect here is org.hibernate.dialect.mysql dialect. As per connecting to MySQL, we have to provide MySQL dialect. So first of all, what is this dialect is? In Hibernate, we make use of methods, right? To do the database transactions, we use methods here. So when we use the method, internally it has to convert into the respective SQL command. When it is converting internally to respect to SQL command, which database syntax it has to follow? Which database syntax it has to follow? That we have to provide the dialect. So dialect means SQL command syntax. Dialect means SQL command syntax. So whichever the database we are using, that dialect we have to provide. So in our case, MySQL, it is MySQL dialect. If you are going with Oracle, Oracle dialect. The next one, next property name equal to Hibernate dot connection dot auto commit. Auto commit, we are saying false. Means in the program we take care of doing the commit transaction, commit operation. One more property name equal to Hibernate dot show SQL as true. I'll explain this property once we run the application. Next, very important property name Hibernate dot HBM2 DDL dot auto create. So if you remember jdbc, if I want to insert a record into a table, we have to create the table first. How to create table? By using create table command. Either I can create table using create table command at MySQL, or we can even use create table command in our jdbc program. So compulsory we have to use create table command to create a table. But in Hibernate, using this property, we can even create tables automatically. So in order to create tables automatically, we use this property create. So what is the use of this? To create tables automatically. And how it knows what table it has to create? We have to refer to the mapping resource. Finally, we have to say mapping resource equal to, what's the name of the mapping file? In our case, product.hbm.xml. So it will go to this mapping file. Sees the name of the class and the table name. So this table will be created with these properties, with these columns. With these columns, the table will be created. So to create tables automatically, we use this property HBM to DDL.auto create. This completes our configuration file. Clear all of you the configuration file? Now, let us create one utility class. Let us create one utility class which is going to load all these properties, and once we get this session factory, because we have to create one utility class, we should return the object of session factory. So session factory object holds what? These are properties. Then I can use that session factory object for doing database transactions. So let us create one utility class, one time process, create a Hibernate utility class. I'm going with the name Hibernate util, any name, in com.hibernate package. Utility means reusable. A reusable classes only we call utility classes. So right click on com.hibernate package and it's a new class Hibernate util. In this Hibernate util, go with a property, private static, standard, service registry, registry. Go with one more property, session factory. This is important. Session factory, session factory. Now create a method, public static, session factory. We are creating a method, get session factory. When we call this method get session factory using this Hibernate utility class, and since it is static, I can directly call this method using the class. What this method has to do, it has to connect, go to your configuration file, load all these properties and return that object. We have to return the session object. We have to return this session factory object so that I can use that object for doing database transactions. Now, how to get the session factory is, here we have to say registry equal to new standard service registry builder dot configure dot build. No need to remember the codes. So just to say registry, what is registry? Standard service registry equal to new standard service registry builder dot configure dot build. What it is going to do, it is going to load your configuration file. So in this configure method, we have to pass over the name of the configuration file. So this code is mainly for what purpose? To load your configuration file, hibernate.cfg.xml. So this is optional to provide. If you are not giving any XML file name, if you are not passing any file name, implicitly it writes hibernate.cfg.xml. If our name of the file is something like xxx.cfg.xml, if it is not hibernate.cfg.xml, then compulsory we have to mention the name xxx.cfg.xml. If the name of the file is hibernate.cfg.xml, providing this argument is optional. But if the file name is different, compulsory we have to provide. Right? So this statement is mainly for what? To load your configuration file. To load the configuration file, we use this registry. Then, once we load the configuration file, the next step, we have to create metadata sources. Metadata sources equal to new metadata sources. To this, we have to pass our registry object. We have to pass our registry. Then go with metadata equal to sources dot get metadata builder dot build. Metadata equal to sources dot get metadata builder dot build. Now finally, session factory equal to metadata dot get session factory builder dot build, and finally say return session factory. Import the respective packages. These are the packages, right? So by using this Hibernate utility class, when you call the method get session factory, it's going to return the session factory object. What session factory object holds finally? It contains these properties. It contains this all property values in that. So for that only, we have created this utility class to get the session factory. Clear this utility class? Now the final step, let us create a test class. Create a test class product insert in com.hibernate package. Product insert. This we need to try. Right click on com.hibernate package and say new class product insert. Main method. Now, first step is what? We have to get the session factory. How to get session factory? You can say session factory SF equal to, by using Hibernate util, we have to call the method get session factory. So when you call the method get session factory using Hibernate util, it's going to return the session factory object. Session factory is mainly for database connection. Then next step, open session. Session is equal to sf.open session. So when you call the method sf.open session, it's going to open the session. And what is the use of session? To do database transactions like insert, update, delete, and retrieve the records. Then next step, begin the transaction. Transaction ts equal to s dot begin transaction. Import the package org.hibernate.transaction. So these are the package details. So go with org.hibernate only here. So these three are common steps. Now what is our next step? I have to create product class object and insert into table. So create product class object and set the values. Product dot set product ID, product dot set product name, product dot set product price. Now the object is ready with values. Now what I should do? By using session object, call the method persist and pass your object. So this internal meaning is insert into product info. The name of the table is what? Product info. In the mapping file, we have given the table name product info. Insert into product info values question marks. Product ID, product name, and product price. So this persist method internally converts into insert command. We can even use s.save also. But this is deprecated in Hibernate 6 version. Right? So this will insert the values. Right? So what is the use of persist? Internally it is insert command. Now, once we insert, commit, we have to commit our transaction and close our session. We have to commit our transaction and close our session. Right? That's it. Now, run the application as usual. Right click and say run as Java application. See, observe here. Observe the console. See, it's showing say drop table if exist. It's deleting the table, creating the table, and inserting the record into the table. So if you want to see how SQL commands are getting executed internally, we use this property show SQL as true. If you use this property show SQL as true, we can even see the SQL commands, how it is getting inserted internally, how they are executing internally. Clear the application? Check here in your MySQL, open MySQL prompt. Use Java 05, our database name. Then if you say select star from product info, the name of the table is product info, CL, product ID, product price, and product name. See, the column name has also changed. In our property, PROD name, but here I have changed the column name, product name here. Right? The record has been inserted. Clear the first application, all of you? Any questions? Compulsory you need to practice. Very, very important one. Hibernate is. Now, let us insert one more record. Let me go with 102. Then keyboard. Then 500. Now, if you run this file, how many records will be present in the table? Can anyone say the answer? How many records will be present in the table? Observe here, how many records? Only one record, the latest record only. Why? Because see the console now, see the console screen, what is happening? It's dropping table if it is existing, it is deleting the table. So since it is deleting the table, we lost our previous record and recreating the table again and inserting. Since it is deleting the table and recreating, we lost our previous record. So why is this deleting the table? In the configuration file, we have used this property hbmdt to ddl.auto create. So when we use create, it always creates new table. It's going to drop existing table and create new table. I don't want to recreate the table again. I want to use existing table. Then in that case, we have to use the property update. We have to use the property value as what? Update. Keep this code in comments and use this property value update. When we go with update, to use existing tables. Go forward, existing tables. Now see, when we come back to the program, and if I go with the record 101, again monitor and 5000. Now observe, when we run this, it is going to do only insert operation now. Now it is not dropping table and recreating table. It's doing only insert operation. Check your table now. You can see both the records. Very, very important interview question. What is that? Create wise update values in property name equal to hbm2ddl.auto. So when you go with the create, drop existing tables. It's going to drop existing tables, create new tables, always goes with the new tables. Drop existing tables and create new tables. When you go with update, use existing tables. Use what? Existing tables. Then if table does not exist, first it will think of using existing table, but if the table is not existing, if table does not exist, then create new table. Tables does not exist, it's going to create the tables. So update also will create table, but when? Only if it is not existing only it is going to create table. But create always goes with new tables only. It will delete and recreate. But update will try to think of existing tables. If it is not existing only, it will think of new tables. Clear all of you? The difference between create and update values? Very, very important during interview times, this question. Got it? Any questions, anyone? So please practice this compulsory. And in tomorrow's class, we'll see the remaining crude operations like how to go with update, how to delete and how to get the records. And even we'll see how to make use of annotations in Hibernate. And finally, we'll see how to generate the primary case. Okay. Right. Thank you all. Thank you.